everyone, welcome back to the channel Learning with Miss Hales. I do hope you are ready for this video, so get your pencils, get your paper, and let's go!
So today we are going to be looking at how we change mixed fractions, or how we change a mixed fraction to an improper fraction, which is opposite of what we did recently. Now our example is going to be 2¼ and we want to know what that is equal to. So 2 suggests that we have two wholes, one whole and another whole, which is complete, plus we have a quarter. So 2 wholes and a quarter, 2¼ we have one whole here and we have another hole here, and right here we have only 1/4 or 1/4, only 1/4, so that hole is not complete. What we want to do is, when we are changing mixed fractions to improper fractions, we want to make everything in terms of quarters. So we want to turn everything into quarters, or change everything to become what the family name is in the fraction part. So the 4 there would suggest that we're dealing with quarters, right? So how would we change these into quarters? Let us see if we can do that. Oh, so we've changed one of our wholes into quarters. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters. And we know that 4 quarters make one whole. Now we're going to change the other whole into quarters. Now the other whole has been changed into quarters, so we have 4 quarters there again. Now that we have changed everything into quarters or fourths, what we need to do now in order to create our improper fraction is to count the number of quarters that we have and write that as a fraction. Now let us not forget that this is already 1/4 or 1/4, not enough to make a whole, because in order for it to make a whole we would need 4 quarters or 4/4. Just count. 1/4, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4 quarters, 5 quarters, 6 quarters, 7 quarters, 8 quarters, 9 quarters, or 9/4. Therefore 2¼ as an improper fraction would definitely be 9/4. Pay attention to how we write 9/4. So we already learned about fraction families. The name that comes last is the family name. So we draw our vinculum, our division bar. Then we are going to put the family name, which is the last name, last. And that would fall at the bottom. So we have fourths or quarters. Nice. Now this 4 is a family name because it falls into the place where we would normally have our denominator. So the family name is always a denominator. If you look at the mixed fraction there, it only has one denominator, which is 4. The 2 is a whole number, so it does not have a denominator. So look carefully. The family name there is fourths or quarters, which is represented by a 4. Now that we have gotten 9/4, we want to write 9/4 as a fraction. We said that if we're calling a fraction, we use, for example, what I would call a first name and then a family name, just like you and I have first name and family name, Christian name and surname. Since we have our surname already, we are going to write our first name. So we have 9/4. Therefore, we must have 9 as the first name, which is going to say 9/4. Therefore, 2¼ written as an improper fraction is 9/4 or 9/4 or 9/4. It is important to note that one whole has 4 quarters or 4/4. a whole can only hold 4 quarters. If I remove this and I use these other pieces, that is 1 quarter. This is another quarter. That's 2 quarters already. And this one, which is 3 quarters. How many more quarters do we need to complete the whole? Can we use 2? Can we use 3? Can it hold 4 more? No, it can only hold 1 more. This means that one whole has only 4/4 or 4 quarters and no more. If you look at the quarter or the family name, it suggests how many quarters or how many fourths can hold in a whole. So 4/4 in one whole. Just as it takes 3/3 to make a whole, or 2/2 to make a whole, or 5/5 to make a whole. Okay? So let me replace this one. 4 quarters. Let us do some adding. 4 quarters. And we get 4 more quarters. If you put those together, in all we would get 8 quarters. Then we have over there 1 more quarter. So 4 quarters plus 4 quarters. 8 quarters right there. Gives us 8 quarters. If you add 1 more quarter to that, we have 9 quarters or 9/4. Hence, we have 9/4 for the answer. So we are going to explore a second method. So we call the first one method number 1 and the second one method number 2. So what we want to aim at is to get conceptual understanding, which means that we understand the concept enough to understand what happens in method 2 when we do it this particular way. This is not how we want it to start. You want it to start by understanding what happens at the top so that you can understand and make the connection with what happens in this second method. We're going to say 2 1/4. Let's write that. 2 1/4. And we want to know it is equal to in terms of an improper fraction. Now we already know the answer to be 9 quarters. What we're going to do is to make sense of what happened at the top, or what is happening in method 2. So we multiply 2 times 4, or 4 times 2, which is the denominator times the whole number, or whole number times denominator. And then we're going to add the numerator to that. Let's see if we can do that quickly. We're adding the numerator. That's the last step. The first step, that's step 1, and step 2 right there. Now, so we're going to multiply 4 times 2 or 2 times 4, starting from bottom to the top. So we have 2 times 4 is equal to what? 8. Later I'll tell you what the significance of this 8 is in terms of what happens right here. Now, we've multiplied the 4 by the 2, or the 2 times the 4. Let me write this one. 4 times 2, and that still gives us 8. Whichever way you do it. Then, we're going to add 1 to the 8. So after we got 8, we're going to add 1 to it. So we already have 8. So write 8 plus 1, and that gives us 9. Isn't that so? Some persons will tell you that after you've gotten your 9, the 9 is going to become your numerator, and you keep the family name, which is 4 or 4ths or quarters. Alright, for some explanation, the 8 that we have here comes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quarters that we have in the 2 wholes. So 4 quarters plus 4 quarters gives us 8 quarters. So basically what we have here is 8 quarters plus 1 quarter equals to 9 quarters. Just for a recap, when we're using this method, which is method number 2, multiply denominator by whole number, then you add numerator to it. Depends on the number that you are working with. So we must multiply denominator by whole number, then we add the numerator. 8 plus 1 is 9. So The 8 that we have here, I told you, it comes from the 2 holes that we have. How many quarters do we have in 2 holes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So therefore we are talking about 8 quarters. And we have 1 that we added to the 8. Where did we get this 1 quarter from? It comes from the quarter that we have there. So write it in terms of quarters. So 8 quarters plus 1 quarter is equal to 9 quarters. Therefore, 8 quarters plus 1 quarter is equal to 9 quarters. Thanks for watching.